Welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Drink a Little podcast, where we talk about exploring the world of wine and spirits while not letting it take over your life. My name is Kelly Doherty. I'm a joyful child of God and a certified life coach. I'm also a wine educator and a wine and spirits brand designer. I'll show you how you can navigate your relationship with alcohol and how that mindset spills over into the rest of your life. We'll learn about the world of wine and spirits together, all while bolstering your confidence that you can have boundaries around alcohol and live your most amazing life. So, how this works is we taste a little and then we see where that leads us into the world of managing our mind and creating intentionality around drinking. And today we've got something called Latitude42. It's a Ribera del Duero 2021. And we'll see how that leads us into a discussion on plateaus in our journey of our relationship with ourselves. And what really brings me joy about this episode is that I looked at this wine and made a vast assumption about it from the label, and I was totally wrong. So, this wine is Ribera del Duero from north central Spain. The brand is Latitude 42. The area is called Ribera del Duero. And it's a plateau. It's along the course of the Duero River, running ultimately west through Portugal, where it's called the Douro, and that's where port comes from. So that's just kind of orienting you to where we're coming from. And I kind of knew where the location was when I picked it up, but it's so interesting how the label can skew our idea of what the wine is all about. So picture a label with squiggly concentric lines, like a topographic map. And you can see this label on my Instagram or my YouTube channel, but no problem if not, just picture like a topo map. And at first I was thinking maybe 70s interpretive art background, but I do believe it is a topo map. And so my mind went to thinking that those concentric lines that are close together represent mountains and how climbing a mountain relates to the journey of changing our relationship with drinking. However, in reality, the area is, yes, surrounded by a ring of mountains, but the grapes are actually grown on a mostly flat plateau at a very high elevation with no steep slopes. Who knew? So, short, hot, dry summers and very cold winters for this wine. And some of these vineyards are very high, like 850 meters high. The grapes can really keep their acidity and fresh fruit flavors at this altitude. And this red is a Tempranillo wine. So I have to admit that Tempranillo was my first crush on a red wine. So let's find out what it tastes like. Let's give it a little swirl. This is very easy drinking, approachable. I knew it was going to be red fruits, but I see taste Bing cherry, raspberry, and a little bit of oak. So this says it's a Roble 2021, and Roble just means in oak. So probably 3 to 6 months oak. Otherwise, they would call it a Crianza, which is a little bit more age on the oak. So a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of clove from the oak. And this is truly an old world style where it's big, it's complex, a lot of different aromas and flavor characteristics is what complex means, but it's not super aggressive. It's still comfortable. And that's what I love about these old world wines. And even though this label has the squiggly drawings of a more hilly area, what I do really want to talk about today are the plateaus as a source of this wine and the plateaus as a source of power in up-leveling your life. So whenever we're creating change or growing in some part of our lives, it usually starts off with a steep learning curve, some quick wins to get us going. You get that dopamine from those quick wins and you keep going. And it really doesn't matter what the topic is, whether you're starting a new sport, a new job, a new podcast, a new goal. It's really exciting. And as Tony Robbins would say, progress equals happiness. And sometimes that happy progress is just buying the shoes to play the sport. It feels like something is happening. You're going in a direction. It feels like anything is possible at that point. And invariably, at some point, we all hit a plateau in each of these endeavors. We're running and we're not getting any faster. We're eating better and we're not losing weight. And maybe we've changed our drinking habits and no one has given us a gold medal. And maybe no one has even noticed except for you. There are those plateaus in every endeavor. Between where we start and where that original goal just becomes a part of who we are and how we operate in the world. This is another reason why I recommend one new goal or one new project at a time. Because if you're focused on several new things at one time and hit a plateau in one of them, it's so easy to just drop that one and focus on something that's still on the upward swing, where we're still getting that dopamine hit of achievement. But then we're really pretending, we're kidding ourselves that there will be no plateaus for this other thing. So I believe that the plateau is built into each journey so we can take stock. We can take the time to celebrate how far we've come. I mean, this is an elevated plateau. We're at 850 meters above sea level. We've come to a different place than where we were before. And it takes the plateau of consistency, of acknowledgement of how far we've come, to really embody what we've achieved into who we are as an individual every day. You can read in the news of people every day that have rocketed to superstardom, and they have a hard time adjusting, to say the least. The ones that have a hard time adjusting, there are some exceptions, of course. They haven't had that beautiful opportunity to spend time on the plateau to really integrate their achievements or their changes with where they want to go next and to really embody who they are becoming. So on that climb up to the plateau, there's a lot of back and forth if you're trying to shift your relationship with alcohol. For me, that looked like keeping promises to myself, making a drink plan 24 hours ahead of time, and doing exactly what that drink plan said, what I had planned to do. And then sometimes that's not what happened. There was back and forth. I didn't do what I had promised myself. And that back and forth has little bits of up-leveling, little bits of awareness each time, a little more opportunity to love myself through the process. So sometimes on that plateau, we're looking around, we've been through the back and forth, and now we trust ourselves, but we're looking for that external validation of what we've been accomplishing. And this really can be a safe place where you can look inward and not outward for that external validation. Listen to what you're thinking, what you're feeling and experiencing. And on that plateau, we get an opportunity to take a deep breath, to take a long view before we head off for the mountains. There's a town near me called Longview. And for years, I just thought there's that town called Longview because it's one word. I never really thought about it. And recently, it's dawned on me it could mean a place to take a long view, a place where you can see further out than you could before. And what a beautiful place to be in, this long view, this plateau. So if you're trying to run away from the plateau and resist it, know that you're not alone, but also know that it's built in. You're right where you're supposed to be. And ask yourself where you can drop that resistance a little bit. Look around and gather your perspective for the next journey ahead. And if you feel stuck, it's kind of nice to call yourself out on it. Like ask yourself, how do I want to feel when I'm stuck on this plateau? How do I want to handle this? Maybe get out of your head and go do other things. Do you want to remind yourself to know and trust that the shifts are coming and they'll come at the right time? Do you want to remind yourself that you've broken through plateaus before? I know you have. And you can look for ways to love where you are right now. How can you love where you are right now? Just like I thought this label at first glance was one thing, mountains, and it really is a different thing. It's all about a plateau. The plateau can seem like one thing when we are first there. It can seem like nothing is changing. It's frustrating that you've worked so hard. It can seem like you're stuck. And it can also seem like a place where you can get grounded, where you can trust yourself, where you can make a plan for the next part of the journey and appreciate some of the good wine on that plateau. So keep going, anticipate the plateaus as well as the beautiful highs and lows, and know that nothing has gone wrong. The plateau is part of the process. It's built into the landscape for you. Focus on celebrating the growth you have achieved and add a little joy from wherever you are today. And that's what coaching is really all about. It's someone working with you through the uncomfortable plateaus and helping you move forward towards what you have decided you want and helping you see you're not stuck. You might just be in a place with a long view. Okay, my friends, that's what I have for you. Next week, we'll talk about the California Pinot Noir called Bar Dog. It's got such a cute dog on the label. Pick one up or just listen along. And if you've hit a plateau and want to take anything I teach to a deeper level, I do have a one-on-one coaching program tailored to your needs where we cover how to stop over drinking, how to love yourself for all the right reasons, and emotional well-being. Go to kellydoherty.com/cheers to learn more. That's KELLYDOHERTY.com/cheers.